Good time of day, guys! My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry, Ch.2 Watanagashi. Last episode, we talked about the latest episode of the anime, which of course I definitely have more to talk about today with that, and Keiichi helped out with fixing up the festival, getting it ready and all that. And he learned about the curse from Shion, Takano, and Tomitake. What a cast, you know? So, before I go into spoiler time to talk about the anime episode a little bit, I just want to say that since, we got a pretty big heat wave where I live recently meaning today, so it is, like nearly summer-esque heat. So, yeah, my windows are open, just letting you know that. So you might hear massive fucking Tonka trucks driving by my house, and that's because there are so many, like, small businesses that love hucking stone everywhere around where I live, so you might just hear in the background. So, yeah, sorry about that, but hopefully it shouldn't be too much of an issue. It is, after all, like, after 5 p.m., ideally they're all home with their nuclear families and 2.5 children, so, yeah. Anyways, let's go into spoiler time. Mute if you, don't want spoilers about the anime or later in the visual novel or the original anime, etc. When I pull up the menu, you can unmute, yada yada. Starting now. So, one thing I remember saying last episode about what happened in the anime is I was talking about Rena's trigger for Hinamizawa syndrome and Keiichi's trigger for Hinamizawa syndrome. I think it's fair for me to say that Keiichi's is being in the dark about the curse and what's going on in Hinamizawa over the past couple years, and his friends continuing to hide those facts from him until he learns it from an outside source, which causes him to be suspicious of his friends. So in the case of during Onikakushi, Oishi made him suspicious of Rena, Mion, and even Satoko and Rika to a lesser extent. And then in Onitamashi, he was suspicious of Rena, just Rena. I was only guessing what Rena's was. I was guessing that Rena's trigger was nobody dying from the curse, since she's so adamant about Oyashiro-sama and the curse being real. However, I'm going to retract that statement because she had shown signs in the anime of having Hinamizawa syndrome and being fucking wackadoo before Tomitake and Takano went missing. In fact, right before then, when Keiichi walked away from them at the river, she was just across the river staring at him between the trees. So that would mean her trigger has to be something else. As for what that is, I don't know. Might have something to do with Pinky. In fact, I'm like goddamn nearly 100% sure it has to have something to do with Pinky. But yeah, oops. That was not the menu. Still mute. We're still in spoiler time. So, I got a couple informative comments. One comment in particular I will mention after spoiler time, because it is not spoiler content. So, one comment mentioned that the hospital Keiichi is in at the end of Onitamashi is the Okinomiya Hospital. Possibly. They said that they said, I think. The nurse implies it might be the clinic, but I don't think so since it was being remodeled. Good to know. I forgot that there's a hospital in Okinomiya, and I still don't remember anything else that happens in there, unless that's the place Keiichi ends up at the end of this arc, which is possible. Rena's other tools were for dismemberment and hiding the body, except for the handcuffs. Not sure why she had those. So that leads me to believe that Rena definitely fucking died in that encounter, because if, like, the hacksaw string, whatever the little yellow box was, and the handcuffs, I guess, whatever those were technically for, were for dismembering and hiding Keiichi's body, then well, why didn't she just fucking dismember and hide his body if she survived that encounter? Because she didn't, so without a doubt, Keiichi probably killed her somehow, or she scratched out her own neck during the encounter. So, yeah, and that also leads me to believe she probably didn't kill Rika or Satoko. So, cooliosis. Okay. Nope. This is actually a part of the comment I haven't seen, so this was edited in. No, the Japanese version, I'm assuming, didn't have anything outright saying Rena died. It was Tasukaru, which means to help or save. I'm assuming this is about what Mion said in the hospital. The line I mentioned where she said they couldn't save Rena, which led me to believe that her death is ambiguous. Even though about tools for dismemberment, hello, notification. Tools for dismemberment and hiding Keiichi's body leads me to believe that she definitely died there, or killed herself because of Hinamizawa syndrome. So, yeah, but that could imply something more about Mion, though. If the wording she used was she couldn't be saved, but I don't know, still up in the air a bit. Take it with a grain of salt, but apparently the Blu-rays leaked, and there will be 2 more 4-episode arcs, 1 5-episode arc, and then a 7-episode one. Alright, I just gotta do the math in my head, so 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 5, yeah, that's 24, okay. So that adds up. 2 more 4-episode arcs, a 5-episode arc, and a 7-episode arc. If we can assume that's true, then I would have to imagine that that means, obviously, the first of the 2 4-episode arcs is Watanagashi, which we already know about. Then the second one maybe has something, maybe it's a different version of Tatari Garoshi. Could also be a different version of one of the other arcs, but part of me doubts it. Then 1 5-episode arc and a 7-episode one. I would have to assume that those are, new, like brand new. I actually kind of have a theory about what Higurashi Go is supposed to be. Not like entirely like what's going to happen, but I mean like why it exists more. I feel like it's probably something Ryukishi, like, thought of any number of years ago, and wrote it intending for it to be an anime, since clearly from the presentation present throughout Onidamashi, it would not work as a visual novel unless it's changing perspectives. And I mean changing perspectives way more often than it did in, like, Wonderful Everyday, which was a chapter-by-chapter basis. I mean it would have to change perspectives constantly. Like, in the same scene. And the one thing that really makes me think that it would have to be like that, which is not Ryukishi's style. In fact, even in Umineko, he did not change perspectives for characters all that often. Like, I'm pretty sure it was almost entirely from Battler's perspective in the first 6 chapters. The 7th was from Will's, and then the 8th was from Battler's again. So it only switched for Will for 1 chapter. And even then, it wasn't entirely Will's. Like, you could argue that the tea party was from Leon's or Angie's, but that's besides the point right now. I wouldn't be surprised if there's, like, if one of those 2 arcs, maybe the 5-episode one, is, like, an amalgamation of the 3 previous arcs. If there's information present in them that we aren't aware of because of which character's perspective it's from. Because Onidamashi was entirely Keiichi's perspective. I think, like, the whole time, like, Keiichi was in every scene. I don't think there was a single scene shown that didn't have Keiichi present in that setting. There might be 1 or 2, but I'm not sure. Obviously, there were some things shown that he wasn't aware of happening around him, but he was still, like, within earshot. Like, Rena staring at him from across the river. Okay, no, there was Rika and Hanyu. There was that one scene, which Keiichi was not around for, but I think that's more of an, like, omniscient third-person point of view shift with Rika and Hanyu as opposed to just, you know. I wouldn't be surprised what I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if that 5-episode arc or even just a third 4-episode arc or part of the 7-episode arc, just at some point we flash back to Onidamashi or Watadamashi or whatever the third one will be and see some of the same events happening from other characters' perspectives. Like if we see things from Rena's perspective in Onidamashi for a little bit. See what happened to her that made her develop Hinamizawa syndrome, probably Pinky coming back. That reminds me of one thing I definitely didn't mention last episode. In the ending, I've mentioned this one thing, the ending song. I've mentioned this before. There's one scene in the ending song showing presumably Rena's dad having sex with Pinky, while Rena's just outside the room holding a fuck-ton tower of bento boxes. Huh. Same fucking tower she brought to Keiichi's house that had a million tools in it to murder him. And she still failed. So, I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that did happen in Onidamashi. If she used that same... But the thing is, I don't remember her being that methodical in that one arc of the anime. I'm assuming Sumihoro Boshi was that arc. Where she took the school captive. Like, yeah, she took the school captive, but that's more like a bank robbing mentality. That's not anything methodical like, I need to gather all these weapons from all these places to go specifically murder one person, dismember their body. Like, the way she went after Keiichi, that was just straight up premeditated murder. Disease or not, Hinamizawa syndrome or not, that's premeditated murder. From what I remember of Sumihoro Boshi, she wasn't all that it wasn't like something she planned to do, I don't think. Like, she walked in with her hatchet and took the school hostage. That's all I really remember. Part of me remembers her trying to set the school on fire, maybe, but I don't know. Regardless, let's move on into comment. I have no idea how they will fit in Shion's backstory. Maybe it'll be like the 3rd episode of Watadamashi or something? I don't know. We don't even know if there will be a 2nd season or not. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a 2nd season of Go, but I also wouldn't be surprised if there's not. With it having 5 total arcs, that's possibly all it might need, depending on, like, how much it's changing, is the thing. This is my only wish was in the PV, which implies the note happens in a different arc. I don't know what note this is. Oh, you're talking about Keiichi's note. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Keiichi saying that line was in one of the PVs, which implies that he does write that note again, but in a different arc, not Onidamashi. Okay, that's interesting. If there's like a Damashi version of Tatari Garoshi, I wouldn't be surprised if he writes the note there. Because I believe Keiichi does suffer from Hinamizawa syndrome to a lesser extent during it, but I think Satoko also does. But they don't, like, go after each other, they're, like, helping each other during it, from what I remember. Alright. Next up, the following is just speculation. The fact that the clinic is being remodeled along with Tomatake's disappearance rather than death leads me to believe Rika solved the main tragedy in the background. It's iffy, though. I suppose I could see that, but I remember the main tragedy being so fucking complex. Like, from what I remember of the 7th arc, Rika managed to, like, scrounge up everybody, except for Hanyu, I believe, and go after Takano, and they all died. But then, in the 8th arc, they did the same thing again, but this time with Hanyu, and they survived. So, I feel like it's hard to believe that Rika could have solved the main tragedy in the background, and so quickly, too? Like, so fucking fast. Unless, obviously, since she knows everything about it, she knows, like, if I do this one thing, it's going to fuck up everything. Like, if she knows how to... Like, maybe she just straight up killed Takano. Like, maybe that's possible. Like, the night of the festival, she killed Takano and hid the body. Maybe. And Tomitake was a witness, perhaps? I don't know. I wouldn't put murdering other people past Rika, especially after she's just put back in this time loop she escaped from. So, yeah. And then, I think the reason Keiichi survived a dozen stabs is because he also had the syndrome. He stopped being a reliable perspective right after Rena attacked, being thrown right to max symptoms. This is backed up by Keiichi scratching his neck at the end. He probably had the upper hand. My guess is that he basically won after slamming Rena into the table. What if Keiichi was the one who got clocked while stabbing Rena? I suppose I could see that happening. Yeah, that is interesting. Because I would find it very, very hard to believe. It could also still just be the case that Rena didn't have Hinamizawa syndrome. I find that stupidly hard to believe. Like, stupidly hard to believe. Because then, what's the point of all the scenes with Rena in the background, you know? Unless, that one thing I remember saying last episode, why does Rena use a knife? She doesn't tend to use a knife as her weapon of choice. She uses a hatchet. That same hatchet with the one spike at the end of it. For every murder she commits in Higurashi, I believe she uses that. So I would find it hard to believe that all of a sudden she would switch to using a knife. So, I suppose it is technically conceivably possible that maybe she had it. Maybe she already had it. Rika cured her. Rena went to Keiichi's house. Keiichi still doubted her somewhat. Went in the kitchen. Thought he saw all these random thingamabobbers. Thought Rena was attacking him when she was really, like, maybe trying to hug him or something. Or maybe she was doing a joke like, haha, I have a knife. Funny, I'm gonna stab you, blah, blah, blah. These guys are ridiculous anyways, but then maybe it just fucking triggered something in him. He hallucinates everything that happens in that scuffle, and he just only kills her? Maybe? It's very hard to believe. I think it's... because then that would be a very specific hallucination. Because, like, Keiichi doesn't know what Hinamizawa syndrome is, but since it's possible to remember past arcs, he also sort of does. So maybe it's like a flashback hallucination hybrid back to Sumi Horoboshi with her scratching her neck and stuff like that. So, yeah, there's a lot of weird shit with the anime so far. But I feel like once we get through, like, the first 12 episodes or so, they might start giving us answers. Because I feel like they're not going to reflect on Onidamashi at all until we get past, like, the 12 episode mark. They might, like, right at the beginning of Watadamashi, it might have another scene with Rika and Hanyu where Rika's just like, that was fucking terrible. How'd I do worse this time? I think it's fair to say, though, that if Rika did thwart Takano's plans, there's a different enemy. Maybe it's someone new? Maybe not? But I don't know. Regardless, next comment. So this is referring to how I thought I got a comment saying that the Mion that we saw most of the chapter was just Shion pretending to be Mion. So the commenter says, I edited it out because I'd heard it and it seemed to make sense with the evidence, but then I checked the wiki and it doesn't back it up, so I'm not really sure anymore. That's fair, I think, because Mion and Shion they switch all the time, from what I remember, so it's definitely confusing. I think that's like supposed to really be the main mystery with this arc in particular, as to whether it's Mion or Shion that develops Hinamizawa syndrome and kills everybody. I'm pretty sure it's Shion, but we'll see. Basically, I said that the Shion we saw up until the Dessert Festa was actually Mion pretending to be Shion. A double twist, because, like, Shion exists, but also that wasn't Shion. I don't know, to me, Shion is way more abrasive, and it feels like she's meeting Keiichi for the first time the night they went to get the doll. That's fair, she does introduce herself then, so it's technically possible, but at the same time, doesn't have to be. So, I guess all we can really do is just continue and see how that goes. So, Yeah, let's call everybody back, and I'm gonna mention one other thing. Welcome back, guys. One more thing, this is not spoilers, but I got a comment. I've actually gotten several comments over the past month or so, requesting that I play a new work of Ryukishi's called Iwaihime, which just came out today as of me recording this in English. So, oh crap. About Iwaihime, I do want to play it. Problem is, I don't really like playing multiple games on my channel that have the same genre. Cause like, right now I'm playing Mario, Higurashi, Grand Theft Auto, and Persona 4. Very random assortment of games. So I'll do Iwaihime. Don't worry about that. But it might not be for a couple months, since I'm not sure whether I'm just gonna go through Chapter 4 of Higurashi. It depends really entirely on what the anime looks like it's doing. Or if I'm gonna go straight through to 8. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But regardless, I am gonna Let's Play Iwaihime at some point or another. So sit tight. Anyways, let's get back into this.
Wah! It's Keiichi-kun! Good morning, good morning!
Rena was ecstatically waving her arms at me, already brimming with energy. What do you mean, good morning? It's already evening. Just say hello or something.
But, this is the first time I've seen you today, so I think good morning is right. It's right.
I got it. Okay, then good morning it is. Good morning, Rena. I grabbed Rena's head and rubbed it with my hand. She squirmed, reveling in the motion like a cat. Like a cat, huh? Ah, when they cry. Cats and cats and cats and fucking cats. Hey, okay-chan. I'm sorry about yesterday. I left without telling you. No, it's my fault. Sorry for making you wait so long.
Are you talking about setting up for the festival yesterday? How was it, Keiichi-kun? Did you do your job properly?
The slight muscle pain throughout my body and my sluggish movements were already obvious. I did great. I'm pretty worn out now, though. I grinned dryly and the three of us break out into laughter. Where are Satoko and Rika-chan? Are we meeting up with them at the festival?
Yep. Rika-chan's actually been there since yesterday because she has such an important job. I think Satoko-chan stayed with her, so they're already at the shrine.
Right, I just remembered. Today was Rika-chan's big performance. She'd been practicing especially hard for this day. As her friend, I needed to make sure I went and cheered her on. Alright, let's go right away. Yeah! You see what I mean about big fucking Tonkas? First one of the episode, how many can we get? As we got closer to the shrine, we started passing by more people and seeing a lot of parked cars. Lots of parked cars, as you can see. It began to get noisier too. I thought I could hear something like a Bond dance song. Without being able to restrain my impatience, I dashed up the entire flight of stone stairs.
Keiichi-kun, you're going too fast. Wait for me.
Man, Kei-chan, you're such a little kid. What, did he crawl up the stairs on all fours? Whoa, the shrine grounds. They were packed with people. It was a festival if I ever saw one.
Wow, they went all out this year too. Amazing, amazing.
Oh, these are the tents they were talking about, aren't they? I'm a fucking dumbass. They're coming from Hinamizawa. Huh? The old man from the Kimiyoshi branch family is here too. He'd been struggling with health issues since Watanagashi last year, but it looks like he got better. Who's this dude? Yeah, there were a lot of villagers here that I didn't really know. They must have all been pouring in just for today.
Oh, it's Satoko-chan. Hey! Oh, if it isn't everyone. Yes, hello to you all.
Yo, Satoko. There's a lot of people today. Don't get lost in the crowd, okay?
Who do you even think you're talking to?
Satoko, too, seems somehow energetic. Of course, I'm the same way.
Huh? Where's Rika-chan? She still has free time, doesn't she? Rika was giving her respects to the mayor and other important people. She shall come before long.
I see. Rika-chan is the shrine maiden for today's festival, after all. It's probably a pain for her to say hello to all the elders. Oh, and never mind, she showed up.
It really is a pain. Hello, everyone. Rika-chan! I want to take you home!
Rika-chan wore an immaculate shrine maiden outfit that looked fresh off the shelves. It was a perfect fit for her somehow mystical appearance. How does it fit? It's not too long, is it? My grandma gave me some safety pins just in case the sleeves are too long.
It's alright. It really is comfortable.
As she spoke, she began to do some twists and stretches.
It's great! It's great! It's so cute!
There was approximately one person here getting a nosebleed from watching Rika-chan move.
Keiichi-kun, don't you think she's cute? Don't you? If you don't, then she'll be all mine, and I'll take her home with me!
I think she's really cute. Totally cool. Enough that I want to pretend to be her big brother or dad and take pictures with her. Keiichi, aren't you like 15? I don't think you're old enough to be the father of like a 9-year-old. How old are Satsuko and Rika supposed to be again? Somewhere between like 8 and 10, right? If we take a picture from 2 different places and make it stereoscopic, we can eat, or rather stare at, a real-life Rika-chan at our houses whenever we want. Eat? What?
That sounds great! That sounds fantastic!
Rena's eyes and mine glittered with stars as our noses bled and we drooled. Ah, the perfect couple.
Rika, you'd best stay away from them. Yeah, sir, I might get locked away in a basement somewhere.
Fuck. You look like you're enjoying it though, Rika-chan.
Me, you're being harsh.
We all laughed together again. Okay, let's not hang around here. Let's go to the festival. There's not much time left until Rika-chan's big debut. You're right. Great, let's go everyone. Not really a debut, she's done it before. Yeah! Yo, if it isn't the daughter of Sonozaki, eat up! The yakisoba is packed full of pork. This year we filled it up as much as we could. We even put in fried calamari. Ooh. Yakisoba with calamari in it. That sounds pretty good. Gotcha, old-timer. The yakisoba this year looks like quite an achievement. You have squid, too. You put a ton of time into this, didn't you?
Wow, it's tasty! It's tasty!
Yeah, the squid is delicious, but the aroma is just fantastic. It wonderfully compensates for how soft it tends to be. There's a delightful amount of squid and pork in it, too. Yep, not bad at all, I say. Pork and squid is an interesting combination of meats, but sounds fine. Kei-chan, you sound like you could walk into a cooking program and become the host.
Yeah! When I see Keiichi-kun acting like it's so good, it somehow tastes even better.
I don't discriminate among the delicious food, so anything that I say is tasty has gotta be worth trying out, right?
Then, Keiichi, please, give us your opinion of this yakisoba again.
I'll do it in 2 words. Absolutely scrumptious! If I had a second stomach, I'd buy another one right now! Having heard my 3-star rating, a whole line of people suddenly formed in front of the yakisoba stand. You rank things out of 3? Wow, that's amazing! Kei-chan said it was so good that a little crowd started to form. Not bad. It was nothing to brag about, but I still decided to stick out my chest and put on airs. Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that so? Then perhaps I shall try it out. Mister, could I perchance bother you for 1 takoyaki?
Satsuko bought a stick of takoyaki, balls of fried octopus, from the adjacent stand, and after blowing on it, put one of them into her mouth.
How is it, Satsuko-chan? If you give it a good rating, then Rena will buy it too.
Chomp chomp, chew chew, gulp. Now it's time for Hinamizawa's very own food critic, Judge Satoko Hojo, to give her impressions. Though she was all for it a moment ago, Satoko hesitated to give her thoughts. Hey now, what's the matter? Everyone else takes one of their own and puts it into their mouths.
Huh? Rena got chipped.
Is it not any good?
Mine's bad too. There's no octopus in it.
What? This takoyaki vendor. Could this be some sort of summer festival only octopus-free takoyaki stand? An evil takoyaki stand that skimped on the octopus because they figured it would make them good money today. Ah, mine has some. Yeah! It's pretty good considering there's octopus in it.
How am I supposed to explain that this octopus-free takoyaki is any good?
Everyone wondered about that. Our quizzical looks seemed to be drawing equally dubious stares from the people in line.
How about this? Takoyaki without any octopus is really healthy.
Is octopus technically unhealthy?
And even people who don't like octopus can eat this delicious takoyaki.
After hearing that, several surprised guests left the line. It had the exact opposite effect. Alright, then I'll give it a try next. A self-inspired take on takoyaki, in which you can clearly taste the simple flavors of the flour, green onions, and pickled ginger. The unaffected taste is bolstered by the absence of octopus. It wasn't half bad, but after hearing "there's no octopus in it" clause, even more people left the line. Rika-chan, any good comments? You can be honest.
400 yen is too much for this.
Yeah, that was too honest. Even more customers leave the line, dealing a lethal blow. There were other takoyaki stands around, after all. Is that a hot dog stand? Interesting. Well, I mean, we might not want to be doing this. Hey, Satoko! You started all this, so give us a great big turnaround.
I cannot do it! How do you expect me to lavish praise upon takoyaki without any octopus in it?
God, you idiot! Satoko's angry outburst was the finishing blow.
The customers are all gone! Huh? The guy is staring at us. Why is that? Why is that?
There's no saving this crowd. Perhaps I, Keiichi Mayabara-sama, will lend a generous hand.
Keiichi-kun, you can do it. We want you to save the takoyaki vendor who didn't put any octopus in.
Don't smile as you say something so bitter. Alright, fine. This may be the only chance you'll get to see a pro at work, so watch carefully. I shoved the stick into an octopusless takoyaki and crammed it into my mouth. As before, there wasn't any octopus in it. But Mion's had some in it. That was the important point. So like a roulette. The man who runs this takoyaki stand. He truly loves takoyaki. In every meaning of the word. No, it could even be said that he adores it. Old man. Ah! Everyone gasped in surprise. Including the takoyaki vendor glaring at us. I don't like takoyaki, it's shit! This man truly does love takoyaki. And because he loves it, he doesn't want to create half-hearted, random ones. Isn't that right? The takoyaki vendor looked down, unsure. Those watching were listening intently, wanting to know why octopusless takoyaki deserves such a high rating.
Keiichi-san, if he really and truly loved takoyaki that much, why did he make takoyaki without octopus at all? Is he not betraying that very takoyaki?
You may be right. In one sense, it is a betrayal. However, it's the best possible compromise this man could find. This man is making real takoyaki today, as he always does. However, only one or two of them on each stick are the real ones. Well, you're right. The one I ate had octopus in it. And considering it did actually have it, it didn't taste bad at all, you know? Right. That was a bona fide takoyaki. And as for the other ones, it was the biggest compromise he could make against the biases of the general populace, who all think that there need to be 8 pieces on the stick, or else it's not real takoyaki.
Huh? Keiichi-kun, I don't understand what you mean. Why is one of them the real thing, and the other ones are fakes? Why?
It's a game! The secret lies in the octopus. Mister, this octopus. It's true Akashi octopus, isn't it? In recent years, the number of octopi, get fucked Keiichi, caught in Akashi has decreased, and their prices have risen drastically. The prices are now so high that you wouldn't think of using them in takoyaki. Then the man who had been looking down this whole time mumbled. Yeah, that's right. Akashi octopus. It's very expensive. But this man absolutely had to have the Akashi octopus. He could have bought much worse quality octopus for cheaper, as much as he wanted, and he would have still been able to fool everyone. There are plenty of other scamming takoyaki vendors who claim theirs are from Akashi, even though they're not. But this man wouldn't accept it. He wouldn't tell lies. Akashi octopus are supreme. He would never relinquish this one stubborn conviction. This man loved takoyaki. That's why he never lied. Yet, there was one point that he absolutely had to compromise on.
What might that be?
The number. The popular opinion is that a stick of takoyaki should have 8 pieces on it. Even if it's real Akashi octopus, he couldn't charge 400 yen for just 1 piece, could he? If he didn't have 8 pieces, nobody would buy them. This man wept over it. In order to make just 1 true piece of takoyaki, he would never let himself lie through the other 7. Oh, whoa! The Octopus-Free Takoyaki vendor burst into tears. I gently clap one of his shoulders. No matter what anyone else says, I will never forget how genuine you are. You, sir, are a true vendor of takoyaki. You are the only one in the world with the right to call himself that. Clap, 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 clap. As I embraced the shoulders of this man, shedding his manly tears, those watching delivered a round of applause, moved by my speech. Everyone, I beg of you, please, eat some of this true takoyaki vendor's takoyaki. If we don't treasure genuine men like this, then how can we protect the true path of the takoyaki? If nobody else will eat them, then I will eat them all!
Everyone watching is lining up! Keiichi-kun, you did it! You did it!
I think it's more they thought Kei-chan's propaganda speech was interesting, rather than that the takoyaki actually looked good. Kei-chan, you could probably sell plain old rocks if you tried.
He would do well at product demonstrations in a supermarket. I suspect he would be good at selling off suspicious wonder knives.
Absolutely stunned at my successful pitch, the guy manning the stall next to this one called out to me. Hey, you guys! Dude, that's for my sweets, too! Great, you all get the gist of it, right? It's your turn this time, Rena.
Okay, I'll do my best. And apricot sweets are cold. They're very, very good. The apricot is sitting so quietly and nicely on top of the syrup. It's so cute. I want to take it home.
It looks like she lost herself in this midway through. But a girl giving it such natural praise was itself bringing in some customers. I wonder if sometimes she just does this on purpose? A line was quickly forming behind Rena. Next up is the Okonomiyaki stand. Satoko, you're up!
Well, the crunch of the fried tempura batter mixed with yakisoba is simply to die for. With a huge piece of bacon laid on top, when you bite into it, it all comes flooding out. Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Yeah! That's freaking great! Now I want to try some too! Then a huge line formed at my words. What on earth is this? So basically, all these onlookers are just following us around to all the stands.
When people hear about food from others and then try it for themselves, it tastes a lot better than it normally would.
So that's it. Even Rika-chan was gorging herself on the food, getting sauce on the bib she'd put on to prevent her shrine maiden outfit from getting dirty. Nice! The older guys are getting into it too! Okay, Kei-chan, which one should I do? Right! Mion, you go to the stand next to that. Show them the depths of your power!
Huh? But Kei-chan, the stone next to that is...
Whoops! A goldfish scooping stand. A bit out of our element. No, as club president, I won't flee no matter who or what my opponent is. Let's get started. Don't eat the fish, Mion.
I look forward to a splendid performance, Mion-san.
The onlookers were also watching Mion with hopeful eyes. Welcome, welcome. Here's your net and ball. Okay, here we go. Who's saying this? That's not Mion. The goldfish are energetic today. They really look delicious. Small things like these, you could crunch them down whole. Mutter, mutter.
Mion-san, what in the world are you saying?
Shion's hiding somewhere, isn't she?
Mi-chan, you eat them? Did you eat the one Rena caught last year too?
No, I didn't say anything like that. Mion's face went red and she shook it vehemently in denial. Well, I mean, you just said so yourself that they look really delicious. Yep, knew it.
Yes, you did indeed say so. My sister is omnivorous. She eats anything that can go in her mouth.
Okay. Aren't people omnivores? Like...
If they taste good, then maybe I'll try one next time. No, Rika-chan, don't! You'll get sick!
Wait a second. Hey, what the hell? Shion, how long have you been here?
Hey, Kei-chan, Mion, everyone. Good evening.
Where did you come from, Shion?
I've been here since the bit with the yakisoba. You were all so loud that I found you right away.
Jeez, you've got nothing to do with this, do you? Go somewhere else already.
Jeez, Mion, don't treat me so cruelly. Right, Kei-chan? You're okay with me being here, right?
Why is everyone zooming in today? She asked, grabbing my arm and pushing her chest into it. Bounce, great.
Keiichi-kun, you're a pervert. Your nose is bleeding.
When you squish a jelly donut, the jelly comes out, right? It's the same. This isn't something I have any control over.
Is that right? Then will more come out if I squeeze harder? Hey, squeeze.
She owns her cleavage. It's right up against my chest. Drip. Okay. Hold on, click properly, thank you. Gah! Shion, what the heck are you trying to do?
How vulgar! I seem to have misjudged you. What about my flat chest?
Rika-chan clasped onto my other arm too. Rub. A plentiful, plump feeling on my left shoulder and the sour sensation of a... Beep, beep, beep. Beep. Yeah, hello? 911? Yeah, we got a fucking dumbass. We got a horny piece of shit on 511 Festival Avenue. What do you mean that's not a crime? Fucking... Boom, boom, bang. Shion, Rika-chan, and I, our faces now bruised, fell to the ground, limbs sprawled. Nice job, Rena.
Everyone's so dirty. Rena punched me. It really hurts. Rika, you get what you deserve.
Sheesh. Now that Shion was here, the energy around us has increased by 120%.
Your friends are so much fun, Mion. I never get bored of them. Oh, right. If you weren't here, it would be way more fun, you know? I want to stay with you all, but if I continue seducing Kei-chan, my sister looks like she's literally going to bite my head off. So, I'll retreat for now. I'll be back. See you, Mion. Don't be back! Get the salt! Someone get the salt! After teasing her older sister so much, Shion ran away into the crowd of people and disappeared. I really have no fucking clue which is which, honestly. I feel that I have borne witness to a rare side of Mion-san. When Mi-chan is with Shi-chan, she looks kinda cute. Rena smiled happily, earning her a whack on the head from Mion. Don't say dumb stuff! Let's get to the next stand already! We went about just like that, really noisy and lively, to the other stands. We were paying money towards the beginning, but midway through, the guys running the shops thought we were just too funny. And we ended up being able to fool around without paying much more. Thump! The vigorous sound of a big taiko drum echoed through the air. Rika, it looks like it's time. Yep, looks like it. Right, it's just about time for Rika-chan to appear in the Offertory Dance. I'm a little nervous. Believe in yourself. All of your sweat will definitely amount to something, Rika-chan. That's a great way of putting it, Mion. Very motivational. Mion slapped hard on Rika-chan's back. Why is everyone beating her up today? That's right. You'll do fantastic, Rika. I'll do my best. Yeah, that's the spirit. I ball my hand into a fist and raise it into the air. We're rooting for you, Rika-chan. Go for it. Yay! Remember? Go for it. Yay! Rika-chan gave the best smile I'd ever seen, then pivoted on her heel and ran off. Okay, we should get going too. Right, let's go cheer her on. You mustn't! You must keep silent during the performance. Got it, jeez. I rubbed her hand through her hair. She was worried about her good friend up to the end. Then we'd better hurry. All the good spots will be taken. Come on. I just kind of realized something. Rika has not said Nipa once in the VN. Was it translated out, or is that part of her catchphrase, but just not in English? Mion ran off, and everyone else followed a moment later. A large amount of people had already clustered into the tight space to watch the edifying dance. It's read out, cool. Wow, this is a lot of people. I turned around to look at everyone else, but nobody was there. Where did everyone go? They probably got lost among all these people. Finally, I spotted the back of Mion's head on the other side of the crowd. It definitely doesn't look like I can get over there. It's probably Shion, isn't it? Well, we got separated. No big deal. We can just meet back up when Rika-chan's dance is over. I gave up on finding the others and wandered around, trying to look for a place where I'd be able to see better. It didn't take long for me to realize I'd have to settle for watching between the heads of the people in front of me, though. Thump. Once again, an even louder taiko drum resounded. This one was to announce the beginning of the dance. I couldn't see very well, but it seemed like Rika-chan had come on stage with the elders, who were in priestly garb. I heard low exhalations of admiration and the seniors rubbing their prayer beads in gratitude. My throat's not being nice to me at all. Everyone's heads were in the way, and I couldn't see. It was really frustrating. We should have cut playtime short and come here to get good spots earlier. After Rika-chan intoned the prayer, she took the festival hoe and walked to the pile of quilts stacked on the altar. That's right. The point of the ceremony was to purify bedding and to hold a memorial service, wasn't it? Then, the solemn offertory dance began. She had practiced using a mochi-pounding mallet. The awkwardly shaped festival hoe Rika-chan held seemed really heavy. Back and forth, up and down, it was doubtlessly difficult to even lift in the air, but she sweated and waved, raised, and dropped it, again and again.
She couldn't just deal with it and do it grudgingly. As the Shrine Maiden, she needed to retain the dignity and solemnity present at this festival. There must be a ton of pressure on Rika-chan's shoulders right now. Damn, why am I cheering her on from a place I can barely see her? I'm her friend, so I should be right up in the best spot rooting for her. Oh, hi, okay.
Kei-chan, over here.
Someone tugged lightly on the back of my shirt collar. It was Shion. She beckoned me outside the crowded ring of people. She had a mischievous grin on her face, and I took it as her saying she knew a good place nobody else knew of. Shion, what's up?
Shh. Just be quiet and come with me.
Got my throat! After she told me so, she ran in a big detour around the throng. Man, it's great to have someone who knows the lay of the land here at times like this. Impressed though I was, I nearly lost sight of her right away. No more getting separated from me. I ran after her so that I wouldn't be left behind. As I wondered in anticipation what kind of secret spot Shion had in mind, we left the crowd of people and went around to the back of the shrine grounds. Okay. Hey, wait. Where are we going? We're getting further and further away. Sorry.
Shh. Just stay quiet and follow me. You'll understand soon.
Shion gave me a wink that reminded me of Mion as she said that. Alright. No sign of people, and not much moonlight. It was dark. We had gotten pretty far away from the crowd of people on the shrine grounds. How are we supposed to see Rika-chan's dance from here? I see. There's some high spot around here, isn't there? Like a rooftop, or somewhere we can look down at it, right?
What? Why do we have to climb onto the roof?
Well, how else are we supposed to see Rika-chan's dance?
Did you really want to see Rika-chan's dance? Kei-chan, could it be that your strike zone is really low?
I don't think we're understanding each other here. Weren't you going to show me somewhere I could see Rika-chan's dance from easily?
What? Who made that promise?
Ah! What's going on? Why me? Why do I always misunderstand Shion? Is it my fault? Am I just reading the wrong things into it? Then why did you call me all the way out here? With an expression that indicated she wasn't fooling around, Shion pressed her index finger to my lips and said slowly and quietly, "This place is a dark, dead, empty spot. You can't see it from the festival grounds, and now a male and female of the same age are all alone together." Ah! Could this be? Shion, she's not planning something crazy again, is she?
Shh! Look over there. See?
Shion whispered, pointing into the dark underbrush. And there we saw two figures, one male and one female. Okay. What's that? Is that?
We're right at the scene of a rendezvous, of course. See? Look closely. Can you tell who they are?
Tomitake and Takano? I peered intently into the dark at Shion's suggestion. Oh, it's Tomitake-san and Takano-san. The two of them were clearly breathing quietly and glancing around to make sure nobody knew they were there, as they crouched before the entrance to a wooden storehouse-like building. Wait, Shion, could this be what you wanted to show me?
Kei-chan, you can see Rika-chan's dance any year, but you won't ever get another chance like this, okay?
I had thought the Sonozaki sisters each had their own personalities, but at times like this they seemed all too similar. I'm going back! Don't call me for something like this again!
If you move now, they'll see us!
At our noisy argument, Takano-san suddenly turned around. Oh my, who might that be? We held our breaths and tried to wait it out, but it seemed like Takano-san was now acutely aware of our presence. Shion and I exchanged glances, then gave up and climbed out from behind the bush.
Well, hello there. The moon sure is beautiful tonight, isn't it?
My. If it isn't Shion-chan and Mayabara-kun. Good evening. Yes, the moon certainly is pretty. What's this? Keiichi-kun, you sure are smart, you know that? Having a secret date in a place like this? Then I guess we accidentally interrupted something important. You're the ones who were meeting up secretly. Tomitake-san and Takano-san laughed at themselves, and it got on my nerves for some reason.
Wait, so you two weren't having a little rendezvous then?
Of course we weren't. Though I don't dislike that kind of romance.
Unfortunately, this wasn't the location of a rendezvous either of you would want to see. Sorry for not living up to your expectations. If this wasn't a rendezvous, then what were you doing? Tomatake-san, were you messing around with the padlock on the door just now?
Huh? After she said that, I looked at the two of them again, and I definitely saw it. They were hunched in front of a warehouse door, fiddling with a pretty heavy-looking padlock. They're trying to get in there, I guess. Guess we've been found out, huh? We were trying to break into the warehouse, but don't tell anyone, alright?
Don't tell anyone? Are you thieves or something? I demanded unthinkingly, just because of how absently Tomatake-san was grinning.
Nah, never. Thieves are people who steal things, right? It's not like we were trying to take anything out of here.
You just gonna look around then? I see. Then why are you trying to unlock the door? This is the forbidden storehouse for ritual tools. They say only the Furude family and a mere handful of others are allowed in.
Forbidden storehouse? I took a few steps back at that and looked on the entire warehouse. It certainly looked like one, built removed from any signs of people, almost as if in secret. It was filthy, revealing how little it was ever opened. And it was built to be durable, giving it a strange, overpowering impression. Now that I looked at it more closely, it was certainly different than normal warehouses.
This place? They're called ritual implements. Basically, this is a warehouse where they store such tools used in rituals. Well, more accurately, maybe it's a temple where the implements are enshrined. The ritual hall Rika-chan is using for the Offertory Dance was inside here until today. Of course, if anyone but the Furude family enters, they bring impurity into it, so absolutely no one is allowed a single step inside it. It's a sanctuary.
Shouldn't we absolutely not be coming to a place like this then? However, Takano was wearing a childlike expression, an innocent smile at best and a terribly cruel grin at worst.
I told you I was researching Hinamizawa's folk tales and legends out of an interest in them, didn't I? A lot of the answers to questions I'm curious about are hidden away inside here.
Was those scrapbook tips, were they yours? Like,
I've waited all this time until today for this chance.
A chance. Everybody's eyes were fixed on the dance at the shrine grounds today. This was the ultimate blind spot.
I see. I didn't know you had lock-picking skills, Tomatake-san.
I don't. I'm just trying to force it open. Stop it. I don't want to be doing this, okay?
Sorry for taking you along with me, but this was all thanks to you, Jiro-san. I really am grateful.
Sheesh. This is the only time. Understand, Takano-san? I don't want to be sneaking into places like this. Considering you're probably gonna die soon, doesn't matter.
You really are a good person, Jiro-san.
Kerklink. Tomatake-san undid the padlock and placed it to the side. It's open.
Thank you. At long last.
Takano-san gulped. With an unusually excited air about her, she gave the heavy door a shove. The sharp smell of mold and dust flowed out from the gap in the doors. I had claimed curses didn't exist, but in this situation, I could believe in them. If we went into such a holy place with our shoes on, it feels like we could be punished somehow.
How about it? You're accomplices too. You came all the way here, so why not come in and take the tour? It'll be a little field trip to a museum of precious cultural artifacts that conceal the secret history of Hinamizawa. And it's only open today.
We're not accomplices or anything.
Aren't you interested, though? Come on, let's take a peek,
Shion said predictably, linking her arm with mine. But we definitely shouldn't be doing this. This is a holy warehouse, isn't it? You said ritual implements, right? I really feel like we shouldn't go in.
I'm a part of the Sonozaki family, so I have a good guess as to what we'll find in there. But I want you to see it too, Kei-chan.
Do you want to show something to me? I thought it was just a ploy, but Shion's eyes looked entirely serious. Of course, she was the sort who could lie with a straight face. Of course, I was an average boy, too. My curiosity was at least twice that of a normal person. Sleeping, forbidden treasures, never to leave this warehouse. Chances like this don't come around too often. If I had to choose, then I want to see. Until the locked door is open, though. I don't know about this.
If you're not interested, Kei-chan, then you can leave now. I think you'll wonder about it later, though.
Tomitake-san spoke after listening to our discussion, himself having sat down on the stairs to take a short rest. I'll keep watch here. Go in and check it out with them. I'm not too interested. But it might be pretty interesting for a young guy like you, Keiichi-kun, he said, laughing mischievously. There was no ill will in his laughter. Tomitake-san, do you know what's in here? Kind of. Takano-san told me all about it.
Must be a pain to have to go along with your companion's unique hobbies, huh?
Tomitake-san didn't answer that, only responding with a pained smile. Takano-san had this kind of scary air about her, like she'd drop absolutely everything else for something she had an interest in and go straight for it. But Tomitake-san, on the other hand, seemed like the gold standard of what a normal person should be. Having him tell me so frankly to go check it out suddenly made the guilt feel lighter. Okay, but just a little. If it's not interesting, I'm leaving. You got it, Shion gave me another Mion-like wink. Looks like we're decided. Shall we go inside? Jiro-san, we'll leave this to you. Tomitake-san waved his hand to see us off. Okay. The inside was pitch black, but Takano-san turned on the battery-powered lantern she'd brought, revealing a pretty cramped front room. That is just the ceiling. It's so dark in here. Everyone take care not to trip over anything. I appreciate the concern. Okay, doorman, keep a good watch. We're shutting the door now. Takano-san smiled spitefully, as if leaving Tomitake-san out of something fun, and began to close the door. Man. Alright, everyone, have fun. There was a low, heavy, and loud noise, and we were completely cut off from the outside world, and covered in silent darkness. Takano-san's lantern was the only light we had. Ah! Empty! Cool. It'll be fine. It's an outdoor lantern with backup batteries inside. It won't go out or anything. Looks like Takano noticed my uneasy expression. I couldn't help but blush a little and avert my gaze. Deeper inside, there was a heavy and old but sturdy door with solemn decorations on it. It was the last door sealing away what was within. Strange how it has an antechamber even though it's just a warehouse, isn't it? I believe it's set up this way so that you open one door at a time, never letting the room with all the tools be seen from the outside. Takano-san explained this, awfully impressed by the construction. But still, it's really dark in here. Huh? That, over there, it's... I spotted a circuit breaker hanging from a clump of wiring, clumsily attached to the wall. Oh, here. Isn't this a light switch or something? I flipped the biggest switch I could find, and with a click, the pitch-black room was illuminated by an old, bare light bulb. Everyone scrunched up their faces at the sudden strobe-like brightness. Don't! Before she even finished, she unslapped my hand and flipped the switch back. There was another loud click and the room returned to darkness, with only the lantern for illumination. Ow! You can't, Kei-chan! This is supposed to be a horror visual novel! Oh, right. We snuck in here, remember? If you turn on the light, it might give us away! I'm scolded by Shion fairly harshly. It looked like she was worried about whether someone had seen them from the momentary light. It's alright. It was only for a moment. Takano-san remained a relaxed adult. It seemed like she was confident she could talk her way out of it if someone did see us. Or, like, fucking kill her way out of it. Like any other character in Higurashi, just stab stab. Let's go in. Here we go. There. The even heavier door appeared, and this time it wasn't just the dust that came out with the air. There was also a nasty smell. One smell was like opening a dust-filled cupboard in the back of a kitchen that hadn't been opened in years. And the other smell,
The nasty one was hard to explain, but it was like the raw odor of a fish market. From how the sound echoed, this room felt larger than the first. Takano-san held up her lantern and revealed the contents of the expansive room. Whoa! At the back wall of the storehouse, right in front of us, was a Buddha-like holy object, standing there, looking down at us. Okay. I was taken aback by its unseen force, lit up by the slender beam of the lantern. Ha!
That's the guardian god of Hinamizawa, Oyashiro-sama.
It's far grander than the one at the shrine.
Oyashiro-sama. So this is the spirit protecting Hinamizawa. The one guarding the holy land of Hinamizawa from the impurities of the outside world, and the one delivering punishment after punishment upon those who attempted to sully the land with dam construction.
It looks like there are far more tools stored here than I thought, but this is so sad. None of them have been maintained. How unfortunate that they're in such a state.
Even in the dim light, I could see a lot of strange objects lining the walls, ceiling, and shelves. Takano-san, speaking as if in a trance, was infatuated by the various implements filling the dark room. They weren't very festival-like, or traditional, but instead, this was more like the workshop of a blacksmith or a carpenter. There were a lot of large wooden and metal tools packed in here. Putting it bluntly, it was all pretty boring stuff. I'd imagine there would be more artistic things in here from the Heian period, but these are a far cry from being cultural artifacts. My expression betrayed my dashed hopes, and they caught on right away.
Oh, is this not interesting for you?
I'm not into literature or art, so I can look at this stuff, but I don't really understand its value.
Fufu, Keiichi-kun, you really do look like you don't get it. I guess it's only natural.
Takano-san reached into a paper bag that she'd been holding the whole time, took out a worn scrapbook, and began to flip through it. Yep, scrapbook's hers.
Then just for you, Keiichi-kun, I'll tell you an old story. It's a common tale in this region. If you go to the library, it would even be on the recommended reading list.
Telling stories in such a dark, creepy place? She must have a horror story in mind. Shion's face belied nothing but calm. If she had the same personality as Mion, she'd have found fault with me being scared. I'll endure it for now and pretend to be calm.
Okay. Alright, I'll read it.
After confirming that I was going to be quiet and listen, she began to speak softly, like a kindergarten teacher reading a picture book.
Long, long ago, in a certain village in the mountains, there was a swamp. The swamp was very, very deep. Some even called it bottomless. People said it was connected to Hell, the land of demons.
The rumor said that it was deeper than the ocean, and that anyone it swallowed would sink into the underworld, a bottomless swamp. Its name was Onikakushi. Wait. I thought back to the story I heard yesterday about the sacrifices sinking in the bottomless swamp. Could that be the swamp she's talking about? So then the village was Hinamizawa, right?
You catch on quickly. That's right. Though it was called Onikakushi Village at the time.
Onikakushi Village? That's a pretty inauspicious name.
It evokes quite the image, doesn't it? I hear that the name was changed in the Meiji period.
The name of the swamp connected to Hell was called Onikakushi, which meant the Demon's Abyss. Ooh. And the true name of this village, Hinamizawa, was Onikakushi Village.
The villagers belonged to that abyss, or to Hell, in other words. They lived their lives worshipping the swamp said to connect to it. But then, one day...
Hello, man. What you doing? Demons began to appear, one after the other, from deep in the swamp. The villagers feared that Hell was overflowing. The demons mercilessly attacked the villagers. They could only watch in fear. They could do no more than hide themselves and tremble. So did someone exterminate them?
Unfortunately, there is no Momotaro or Superman in this fairy tale.
I don't know what the Momotaro joke is, but okay.
Then
Did they get the whole village together to fight them?
Heavens, no. The villagers weren't nearly strong enough to fight on equal terms with the demons.
Then, the only recourse would be to flee the village.
They couldn't do that either. To the villagers, it was their beloved homeland. It didn't matter how terrifying the demons, they wouldn't have run away so easily.
Then, what did they do? Wouldn't they just get wiped out? They probably struck a deal. Unable to fight and unable to run, all they could do was wait for the village to be destroyed. Then, when everyone had lost hope, their god. Oh, okay, or just wait for God. Oyashiro-sama descended unto them. I see. So Oyashiro-sama came down from the sky and beat up all the demons then.
You're such a boy, Kei-chan. You always jump straight to using force to resolve things.
Shion sighed, a little annoyed. Embarrassed, I held my tongue.
The thing about Oyashiro-sama, he wasn't a violent god who would beat them up like you're saying. He was a kind god, filled with love and benevolence.
Yet people still believe he kills people, apparently. The strength of Oyashiro-sama descended from the heavens couldn't be compared to that of the demons. They didn't even fight. They simply prostrated themselves before his radiant authority. Oyashiro-sama urged them to go back to hell from whence they came, but the demons wept and challenged him, saying they could never return.
The world of the demons, too, has harsh commandments. They claim they had been banished from hell.
Demons, who didn't have a place to go, neither in hell nor the human world. Of course, they were at fault for attacking the village. They deeply reflected on it and were sorry.
As the villagers conversed amongst themselves, little by little they came to pity the demons, and after talking with everyone in the village, they decided to live alongside them.
A lot of fairy tales have them being exterminated or driven away, but you don't often hear one where they live in peace.
You're right. Demons are supposed to symbolize all evils. A story where they decide to live together with humans is certainly strange.
When the demons first heard the villagers' invitation, they doubted their ears, but soon burst into tears of joy. The villagers had given them a place to live. It was said that in payment for this good deed, the demons shared their many kinds of power and secrets with the villagers.
Oyashiro-sama was very pleased with this happy exchange. He gave the demons the bodies of humans so that they would be indistinguishable from the villagers. He himself decided to stay on the surface and watch over the everlasting peace between them.
A land in which man, demon, and god live together. I had thought the word demon was a noun meaning evil that needs to be exterminated. A god may have mediated for them, but you don't often hear happy endings like that where both sides live in harmony. I see. I guess it is kind of interesting.
Although the normal fairy tale ends there, it was revised quite a bit during the Edo period into a much longer story.
After that, the humans and demons intermixed, and eventually there was no difference between them. Oh, I was gonna joke saying that they fucked, but I guess they did. So the demons ended up disappearing?
No, not at all. Half of them stayed just as they were.
The knowledge the villagers had received from the demons basically made them into something inhuman, what people call transcendent. They were well aware the power they had was heresy, and as those below worshipped them, they lived out their lives in secrecy.
The story is the root of many derivative tales and pieces of fiction. It's the foundation, I mean. The basis.
What do you mean by root? She just said the foundation and basis, so...
She means the part about the villagers having demon blood. What I mean is, all of the legends from around here are based on the premise that the villagers are descended from demons.
There was a hint of amusement in Shion's face as she said that. It was like she wanted to say that she, too, had demon blood in her. Is there any proof, though? Maybe it's somehow rooted in historical fact beyond just fairy tales.
Oh, Mayabara-kun, then do you believe that demons really did come out of the swamp and breed with humans?
Well, it's not that I don't believe it, but... When she said demon, she meant the ones from hell, but... In ancient Japan, the word wasn't necessarily used to denote only that kind, right? The more well-known use involves the drifting foreigner theory. As the story goes, Westerners who were shipwrecked in nearby seas had such markedly different customs that they were called demons. Japanese people were relatively similar in appearance to other Asians, but everything about those from the West was different. Their physiques, their faces, and their skin color. In Japan, terms like red demon and blue demon evoke images especially of Westerners. Lacking in skin pigments, Westerners would sunburn easily and turn red. Hey! Don't make fun of me. Being fair-skinned, I think blood vessels appearing on their skin would look blue too. Wait, what? That's just a white people thing? Oh, I didn't even know that. A handful of accidental aliens would drift into Japan and came under persecution, being called demons. They would flee into the mountains to survive, turn into bandit groups, and attack villages for food and the like. How does that explanation sound? Maybe it's a bit childish. Takano gave me a weird smile when, having come up with such an impromptu hypothesis, I unconsciously followed it up with self-deprecation. Still, she didn't smile as if to make fun of me.
It's not ridiculous. There are a lot of people who subscribe to the drifting foreigner theory,
but there aren't enough people who subscribe to Godzi subscribe.
Even so, nobody actually knows what happened. Were they groups of foreigners who had turned to banditry, or were they really demons who had come from the bottom of the world?
Then, Takano-san, which one do you believe?
The truth of the matter aside, I'd rather believe the more fantastic explanation. It's more fun that way, isn't it?
Her answer made her sound a wee bit like a romanticist. Here I'd thought she'd reject unrealistic stories like that.
Now then, this is where the fun begins.
Takano-san brought an end to her storytelling and waits for a moment as if to tantalize us. Suddenly, Shion looked around as if something had caught her eye. Her head bobbed to and fro like she was making sure nothing had changed. What's wrong, Shion?
I'm sorry. Please don't worry about it.
Shion pretended as though nothing had happened. Takano-san also made sure nothing had happened, then cleared her throat and broached the next subject. Something just bugged her, clearly.
I explained that half of the... Wrong character. I explained that half of the villagers have demon blood. That blood, they actually say that it's the blood of the kind of demon that eats people.
Man-eating demons? That escalated quickly. Viking cannibals, then.
That blood still runs through the villagers' veins. They say that sometimes the blood awakens from its slumber.
I thought the fairy tale had a happy ending, with the humans and demons living in peace, but it began to suddenly change into a brutal, bloody story.
Well, they eat people. They say that every decade or so, they can't help but want to feast on human flesh. The villagers can't eat other villagers. So when this happens, it's said that they descended on the human villages and conducted Onikakushi.
What's an Onikakushi?
Broadly speaking, it's when a demon kidnaps someone, when a person is demoned away. They say that it's the villagers of Onikafuchi would overwhelm unfortunate human villages in order to kidnap sacrifices.
Takano-san's explanation was plain and simple, but when I imagined what it must have been like, it was terrifying. They lose their human reason. The villagers turn into real demons en masse. They attack the villages they loathe and the dirty world of the masses below, and then they kill and eat their sacrifices. So they're no different from demons after all. What did Oyashiro-sama do? Wasn't he supposed to be staying in the village and watching over them?
Oyashiro-sama knew about it, of course. Onikakushi isn't indiscriminate. The villagers apparently never kidnapped anyone other than the sacrifices decided upon by their god. In the text, it's usually one or two people.
A village inhabited by those both human and inhuman. It was like the heartwarming episode's colors had inverted, like negative film, revealing the painful and ugly truth.
So on the nights when they stole away villagers, they would feast on their kidnapped sacrifices, which is why the nights came to be known as Watanagashi.
Watanagashi. Tonight's festival was Watanagashi. I just couldn't reconcile the fun festival with the horrible tale Takano-san was telling me. Watanagashi? Well, wasn't it? Wasn't it about giving thanks to the futons we use over the winter or something?
Kei-chan, Wata has another meaning, you know? It means entrails.
Oh. Shion, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Entrails? Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. Like fish guts. Wait, what? Like a jigsaw puzzle, the fun times I had today and Takano-san's grotesque tale clicked together in my mind. Watanagashi. So, gut spilling. I didn't think saying that could ever feel so nauseating.
Yes, it's as you imagine, Mayabara-kun. Right now, the Watanagashi Festival might be a somewhat early summer festival occurring every June, but it used to be different. It used to be a ghastly, cannibalistic feast, held on the night the villagers had collected their unfortunate dinner.
That can't be true! I had no real reason to say that, but I couldn't help it.
Mayabara-kun, you said that Watanagashi is a ritual about purifying futons, right? What do you think the futons, filled with cotton, with wata, represent?
Futons are futons! They're beds! They're things for sleeping in! What else could they possibly represent? I was rattling on, desperately attempting to deny the horrible festival that Takano-san was describing. Deep down, however, I found myself understanding all too well what she meant. Futons stuffed with cotton. If the cotton represented entrails in both pronunciation and meaning, then entrail-filled futons would have to be humans.
Why don't you think back to the Offertory Dance Rika-chan performed?
I was just thinking about that.
Do you know what she was doing up there?
No, I don't! I didn't even watch the whole thing anyway!
Shh! Kei-chan, you're getting too worked up.
Shion grabbed one of my ears, reminding me that this wasn't somewhere I should raise my voice. Even so, I still can't suppress this agitation I feel.
Rika-chan was carrying a festival hoe. You've probably realized it already, but that's not a hoe for plowing fields. It's a tool for dissecting human bodies.
Oh. Creepy mode. I didn't see the dance all the way through, so I don't know what kind of performance Rika-chan was putting on after I'd left. Keiichi's hair is a lot shorter than I thought it was. I mean, I guess in the anime it's quite a bit longer, but still. When I told this to Takano-san, she kindly explained Rika-chan's dance to me. To summarize what she said, after what I'd seen, Rika-chan would pierce the futons with that hoe, cut them open, and pull out the cotton inside. Yeah. But the scene in the anime where she was doing that, she just walked around it and constantly poked it. She'd cut the cotton out, one bit at a time, and set it afloat. That's the kind of ritual it was.
Broadly speaking, it was quite the bombastic ceremony, where they'd rip out the guts and throw them into a basin. And then the ritual was over. It's thought that afterwards, the villagers, each with a different role, dismantled the flesh piece by piece and feasted upon it.
At Takano-san's strangely happy giggle, I felt, for some reason, violent displeasure. Rika-chan. Every day during our lunch break, she'd take a rice-pounding mallet into the schoolyard, and she'd work so hard, sweating bullets, to practice for the offertory dance she had done today. All that effort, all that work. Takano-san disgraced it. Okay, that's fair. Even though she worked so hard to practice for today.
Takano-san, I think you should choose your words more carefully. Kei-chan's pretty naive, so don't tease him so much.
A moment before I opened my mouth to express how angry I was, Shion stopped me. Shion must have been fully aware of how that story made me feel.
I'm sorry. I thought you'd like a story with that sort of shock value, since you're a boy.
Takano-san spoke without a hint of malice as she smiled gracefully.
After hearing all that, did you figure out what kind of stuff is in the storehouse, Kei-chan? See? Look.
Shion pointed out one of the walls vaguely illuminated by the lantern's light. There was. Mere moments ago, they hadn't held my interest. They were just boring-looking tools lined up on the shelves. Ugh. All those uninteresting tools that I didn't understand how to use. They all suddenly took on a new meaning, and I couldn't help but let out a groan. At first, they had looked like carpentry tools, like chisels or planes. However, when I thought back, I'd seen pictures of these sorts of tools before. Yeah, they They came up in a Japanese history textbook. Yes, on the page introducing the Keiichi Shinso, or the new text on anatomy.
These sorts of things, they're printed realistically in the literature of Germany, capital of the medical world.
Is Germany really the capital of the medical world? Interesting. These aren't carpentry tools. These strangely shaped tools. They're for dissection. Everyone knows that in the Edo period, they would dissect the corpses of those who had been put to death in order to gain knowledge about Western medical techniques. Illustrations of the dissection tools they used at the time came up in textbook supplements. The things hung up on this wall all looked exactly the same as those.
If you want a scarier way of looking at it, think of them as cooking utensils.
Takano-san, holding the lantern, the only light source in the room, led us along the wall. She had the only light, so I had to walk after her whether I liked it or not.
Look.
Takano-san illuminated a coiled chain which left a bigger impression than the other things we saw. The chain in itself was nothing unusual, but further along it were metal fetters that were like hinges, clearly meant for binding people. This sprite is weirdly cropped, the outline on it.
Kei-chan, look at that!
Shion tapped me on the shoulder and pointed to a restraining table that was clearly shaped like a person. Dog going mad. My spine froze. My blood felt like it was turning into sherbet as it crawled up my back. Very vivid image, but a very goofy one. On each of the joints, there were things like chains and iron balls attached. It was like the table was searching for its next sacrifice, ready to spread their arms wide and close them in.
It's probably a chopping block. I think you'd strap the sacrifice down to prep them for eating.
The words chopping block sent a jolt through my body. When I looked more closely, there were many dark slices carved into it, as through, probably though, from a knife or a saw. They were the most clear-cut signs of usage you could ask for. It proved these tools weren't just for show, they were used for their original purpose. If someone was strapped tightly onto this table, they probably wouldn't be able to move even a muscle. Their guts would be defenseless. You take one of those eerie cooking knives lined up over there, stab them with it, and then you'd slice open their belly and dissect them?
I'd heard about the stories, but this is incredible.
Before coming in here, Shion had mentioned she had a good guess of what was inside, but it seems to have exceeded her imagination.
There's still more. How about it? More fascinating than a wax museum, isn't it?
Takano-san had this happy expression like she was visiting a toy store for the first time. I don't get it. This Mio Takano person has nerves of steel. Are these bizarre, grotesque objects that fascinating to her? I, for one, was not enjoying myself. I'll be frank, this was all too weird for me. Still, there was something even more horrifying than all this. That would be none other than Takano-san herself. Takano-san holding the lantern, giving off such a thin beam of light. If she suddenly turned it off, then what would I do when the next moment, everything went totally dark? That's why I was scared. Takano-san had the only light, and anyway, I was scared. At some point, Shion had started holding onto my shirt sleeve. It was a little annoying to walk like that, but I didn't shake her off. Aren't you wearing a tank top anyway? That minor sensation allowed me to feel the presence of an ally, here and now. Before we had even walked halfway through the storehouse, the air I felt on my skin changed completely. These cruel tools lined up, all crammed together in this place. Some were horrible ones made to take away sacrifice's freedom, and some were tools made to efficiently disassemble and prepare the bodies for consumption. We're going into spoiler time for a second then. So, mute. Is this where Rena got the tools for dismembering Keiichi's body then? And, hiding it? I would imagine not. Most of the things are way too big, but there are some smaller tools. I would have to imagine that you could fit into bento boxes. So, yeah. Welcome back. Those were just the things I understood. There were plenty of other strange-looking objects that I couldn't even guess the purpose of. Now that I was here, I didn't have the slightest desire to hear the details about what sort of terrifying reasons they were meant to be used for. At the very least, they were all completely different from the sort of clean, simple killing function of a katana. Tools to kill people were, obviously, constructed in such a way that they could kill people. If that was the goal, then the person you used them on would, obviously, end up dead. The kinds of tools here, however, were different. The tools that were here were for cutting people, for crushing them, for boiling them and cooking them, and for grinding them. They were tools of torture. They weren't made to kill people. People dying was just an incidental result. Actually, they might not even kill them. If the sacrifices could die during such a horrifying ritual process, that'd be nice, but they don't even die in the end. They remain in a state of hellish pain. Perhaps they were only being allowed to live. Only now in this moment did I fully realize just how terrifying and fearsome that difference was.
People, you see. Most of these wouldn't kill them if used properly.
Takano-san, as if reading my mind, displayed a shocking smile.
Burning at the stake, the famous method of execution for witches, will kill the person immediately. When the body suffers extreme burns on the skin all over, the decomposition of the skin's chemical makeup produces poison-like symptoms and causes an immense shock to the victim. Though I suppose it's still very cruel, compared to the guillotine, you have to wait far longer for that to happen.
She described such horrors in a strangely medical way. Shion immediately answered the question I had.
Takano-san is a nurse.
There's a saying that nothing can scare a doctor. I guess it's true.
Oh, and also, there was a method of execution in ancient Rome where they would grill the person.
Okay.
Just like a barbecue. They would cover the person in wire netting and slowly cook them over a charcoal fire.
To think the memories of when I went to a day camp with my family would come rushing back now, of all times, so vividly.
That's what it was like. Apparently they wouldn't die too easily for some reason. According to one source, even if they roasted one side of a person to a crisp for an entire night, they would still be conscious and able to speak fluently.
God, the fact that there's probably someone in the world right now eating a human, that's insane. You'd grill someone the whole day and they'd still be conscious. It's said that ancient Rome, famous for their executions, thought of plenty of ways to execute someone while having the victim stay alive for as long as possible.
Among them, there was one method where they would open the gut, pull out the intestines like sausages, pull them up on a winch, and put them on public display.
Okay. Shion was behind me, clinging to me. Not just because she was scared. She was protecting her stomach.
You would think someone with their intestines pulled out would die instantly, right? Actually, as long as you do it tenderly and thoroughly, it's apparently possible to pull them all out while the person is still conscious.
Okay? I felt a sick feeling in my stomach. It was like my organs were coiling up, just from Takano-san's stare.
Though pulling them out with a winch was a rather exaggerated method. In a more barbaric way, they might slice open the gut, then cut the intestines out and throw them everywhere. It's quite imaginable that they did dreadful things like that too, isn't it? However, those being put to death are conscious.
Okay.
It must be far more terrifying than painful.
She spoke with pleasure, as if she had come here on a sightseeing trip. I heard Shion gulping multiple times near my ears.
Perhaps Hinamizawa, or rather Onikakushi village, did something like that for the Watanagashi festival. Listen, if you try hard, can't you hear it?
I wanted nothing more than to not hear anything at all. So why? Why only at times like these do I begin to hear things I shouldn't be able to? This is a long fucking part, Jesus. Bells. Takano-san, having realized she'd scared Shion and I enough at this point, smiled soothingly. Then she turned on her heel, raised the lantern, and began to walk again. If Takano-san left us here, we'd get even further away from the light. Shion and I, no matter how scared we were forced to follow Takano-san along on her field trip through the ritual storehouse.
I suppose we've seen a bit of everything. See? This place is interesting, isn't it? She says, raising the lantern high in the center of the storehouse. The dim lighting didn't change, but for some reason, it felt like I was able to see all those horrible tools at once.
Kei-chan, look up.
Shion stammered while grabbing the nape of my neck.
Ugh.
I couldn't tell because it was so dark, but there were a lot more tools hanging from the ceiling as well. They all looked like they were made of iron bars, but then I figured it out. Cages. For cages, they were very small. Cramped cages just for one, like a casket. If you got locked up in there, no, you wouldn't get locked up inside it. It was another tool meant for restraining people, where the iron bars would squeeze you tightly. So many, big and large, things of all shapes, were hanging down. Takano-san's mention of execution by grilling crosses my mind. We weren't just surrounded on all sides by these terrifying instruments. Things crowding the ceiling were even hanging over our heads.
There are many of these sorts of bird cages among European torture devices. I'm surprised to see them in Japan as well.
Kei-chan, is there something in there? A person? A mummy?
Where? Shion desperately pointed to one of the many human-sized bird cages hanging from the ceiling, but I couldn't tell which one she meant. Being that dark, there wasn't any way you could tell if something was in there in the first place.
I don't see anything. You sure you're not seeing things?
Shion didn't seem convinced, but without a means to confirm for ourselves, we couldn't do much but wonder.
Mayabara-kun, after seeing this, have you come to believe in all of it? The countless terrible rituals passed down in Hinamizawa?
It's got nothing to do with believing in them. Now that I've been shown the real thing like this, there's no possible way to deny it. Even the nations of Europe, with all their beautiful landscapes and legends, were like a maelstrom during the terrible witch hunts in the Dark Ages. It's well known that the era gave birth to countless gruesome forms of torture and execution. Japan was the same way. Didn't it have its own era of hellscape-like torturous feasts because of religious suppression and things of that nature? Hinamizawa itself had such a period. It had that much history behind it. Even in Europe, land of the witch hunts, that was all far in the past. No more than a series of historical events. And in this age, nothing that abnormal would ever happen. That must apply to Hinamizawa as well. Just as Europe had its dark age, Hinamizawa had one too. That's how this should be taken. Even if these things all really happened in Hinamizawa, they're all long past. They don't have anything to do with the people living in Hinamizawa right now.
Mayabara-kun, you really do like this village.
It didn't sound like she was making fun of me. Takano-san gave me a light smile.
Takano-san, you're researching whether those customs survived into the present. You are, right?
Shion suggested something that made my heart leap into my throat. Are you telling me that all these horrible things are still going on even today?
What I'm about to tell you is a secret, alright? I told you, Shion-chan, because you're an understanding person. But the other villagers don't want to hear it. If things go awry, I could be ganged up on and punished.
Shion flashed a devilish smile as if reveling in the immortality of it.
Mayabara-kun, you keep it a secret too, okay? If this gets out, I could suffer Oishiro-sama's curse, or be made into a sacrifice. If it's a curse, then I wonder what kind of death it'll be this year. If it's a sacrifice, then will I be thrown into the Onikakushi swamp while still alive? It is tonight, you know, the night of Oyashiro-sama's curse.
Takano-san said, bringing her face right up close to ours, as if to say that she had the choice. She'd rather suffer the curse. That was what she seemed to be implying. Takano-san took out a fairly worn notebook out of her paper bag, then began to flip through the pages. There were all sorts of references and newspaper clippings attached to them, and had all manner of things written inside. The letters were very small and bunched together, so I couldn't tell at a glance what it was about.
What I'd really like to do is search through the National Library for newspapers from the era, but here it is. A photocopy of a page from some book was slid into the notebook, and it too was written in small, tight lettering. Like the other pages, I couldn't tell what it was about just by glancing at it. This is a story that actually happened. It was around the end of the Meiji era. They discovered an unknown mangled corpse, the victim of a murder in Onikakushi village. An old newspaper clipping attached to the page spoke of something that was no mere rumor or fairy tale. We don't have most police documents from the time anymore, so it's all based on oral traditions and memories. See? It's not very clear, but it looks like a cutout of a newspaper from the Meiji era. Never before has there been a corpse treated with such cruelty and inhumanity. Could it be the work of a demon? Being a copy of a copy, it was very hard to make out, but it was more than enough to make me feel strangely tense. Near the end of the Meiji era, in old Onikakushi village, a mangled corpse was discovered. The identity of the corpse was unknown. It wasn't even in a state where it could be identified in the first place. It was missing a head and each limb was separated from the body. Skin had been peeled off the entire body, and there were markings that implied terrible torture in every place imaginable. Not only that, but the belly had been cut open by a sharp knife, with the entrails completely dragged out. The police immediately began an investigation, but since they couldn't even determine the identity of the victim, much less the criminal, finding answers was extremely difficult. Do you understand what it must have been like? I couldn't imagine such a strange sight, even if I tried. This was the first time I was ever thankful for my lack of imagination. The victim was skinned while still alive, underwent all kinds of torture, and was killed brutally. The author here also thinks that even after death, the remains were divided and dissected even further. The epitome of inhumanity. I'm of the opinion that the entire process was performed while the person was still alive, though. What do you think, Mayabara-kun? She spoke in a way intended to make me imagine even more vicious things. As my brain was already far over capacity, however, there was no way I could imagine anything more brutal. Then when I broke my gaze from Takano-san's, those strangely shaped weird tools were all around us. I wonder if you could faithfully reproduce the mutilated corpse discovered at the end of the Meiji era, with all the tools found in this place. I want to deny it. I don't want to admit that something so terrible could have happened at all. Even so, they were so strange, so terrifying, these tools. And as if they had seen through my attempt to escape from them, they did nothing but ridicule me silently. So, that creepy incident, what was it in the end? The author says that, regarding Onikakushi village's dreadful customs, they've survived into recent post-Meiji days, and that perhaps they lasted until around the beginning of the Showa period. This corpse at a glance appeared to have been brutally killed after a period of torture. In actuality, however, it was the pitiful sacrificial remains of the man-eater's terrifying feast. The corpse was just leftovers. It was so fantastic, so strange that it didn't feel real. Was this an extension of the legends too? It happened in the Meiji era though, which is just too recent to be called a legend. Also, there's a newspaper clipping right here suggesting it. Okay, but even if it really happened, it was a long time ago, right? I mean, the Meiji era ended 100 years ago. That's all. Only 100 years ago. Besides, it kept happening even after the beginning of the Showa period. Like with the uproar around the post-war canned flesh incident. Oh, I apologize. What the fuck is that? That story was taboo, wasn't it? Takano-san immediately stopped talking as if worried about Shion. Shion briefly looked somewhat angry, but that expression soon disappeared. Huh? Takano-san, what did you just say? Canned flesh? Just then, there was a huge creaking noise. Okay. Everyone whipped around to look. It's probably just Tomitake being like, you guys still here? What? It was Tomitake-san who had opened the door slightly. Did I startle you? Oh, Jiro-san, could you not resist seeing inside? This is a splendid treasure trove of torture devices. I'll pass on that. I'm bad with this sort of thing by nature. Takano-san held her stomach and had to muffle her laughter,
as if she wanted to make a comment about his masculinity. Okay.
In any case, the dance and ceremony are over, and everyone's going down to the stream. The festival will be over within minutes. Oh, that's no good. My Abara-kun is just such a good listener that I couldn't help telling stories.
I'd really rather you not mention me in a place like this.
Jiro-san, could you wait out front? I want to take a few pictures. There are actually a lot of tools I'd like to bring home, but we obviously can't do that.
Takano-san took a camera out of her paper bag and began to snap photographs. She looked like she was having fun, like she was on a scavenger hunt.
Keiichi-kun, are you leaving too?
I've seen enough. Shion, you're good too, right? Let's get out of here. I want some fresh air.
I agree. Let's leave.
I did feel a bit of hesitation at leaving Takano-san by herself in this darkness. When I thought about it, though, I realized that whatever kinds of evil spirits and ghosts lurked in the darkness, none of them could hold a candle to how scary she was. Even if a phantasm were to appear, she'd be overjoyed and flash her camera at it. It seemed like Shion shared my somewhat rude mental images. We exchanged glances and smiled painfully. We left Takano-san there, bathed in her strobe of camera flashes, and decided to go leave the ritual storehouse. How long is this part? Everyone at the festival seemed to have gone to the stream, so their voices were very distant. The voices of the bugs, on the other hand, were clear, lending an empty feeling of isolation to the place.
How was it? Interesting?
Tomitake-san gave us a somewhat mischievous grin. He should have been able to tell by looking at how pale our faces were. I should have kept watch outside with you, Tomitake-san. Tomitake-san laughed so delightfully that it wiped away our dark feelings.
How did you fare, Shion-chan? Were you scared?
I was prepared for it, so I wasn't too afraid, but seeing the real thing was powerful.
Shion spoke like she wasn't scared at all. She really had been quite afraid, but seeing as how I was in way worse a state than her, I didn't have much room to talk. As Tomitake-san grinned candidly, and my mind, exhausted and locked up by nervousness, began to calm itself.
Was Takano-san an adult about this little expedition? You know how she seems like a child sometimes. I was worried she'd be way too excited.
Both Shion and I laughed, and left that as our answer.
Hopefully she was only looking at things. I'm worried she'll sneak something out of there, mess with a ritual implement too much and break it or something.
Alright, that's quite possible. She is alone in there right now. She might pilfer something small and easily concealed, hiding it in her pocket.
Yeah, I can see that.
Shion said what I was thinking.
You sure she didn't break anything? I could clearly hear some noises like someone jumping up and down. I was getting pretty nervous. Oh, I'm sorry. I ran out of film. Jiro-san, if you have any more, could I use some?
Takano-san suddenly appeared while we were talking about her, taking everyone by surprise. Tomitake-san smoothly grinned and responded as if nothing had happened. He's pretty mature.
I'm all out of spare film. Sorry about that. Jeez. You won't win any Pulitzer Prizes by not stocking enough film for any occasion, you know. I suppose that's it then.
Tomitake-san scratched his head apologetically. Without film, we're done here. Takano-san seemed to have given up because of that too. We checked carefully to make sure we hadn't left anything inside, then closed the door and turned to the heavy padlock we left beside it.
Takano-san, you didn't sneak anything out, right? How rude. I'm trying not to be that childish.
Kerclack. Tomitake set the padlock back to the way it was before. From a cursory glance, it didn't look like thieves had snuck in at all.
Okay, let's get over to the stream ourselves. If we don't at least set some cotton afloat, there won't be any point in coming to the festival.
Tomitake-san spoke brightly, urging us all on. Setting cotton afloat down the stream. I shake my head a few times, driving away my dismal thoughts as to the double meaning. Takano-san, looking a little let down, kept turning back to glance at the ritual storehouse.
Let's just leave it at that, alright? You saw enough to sate your curiosity, didn't you? Oh, not at all. Everything I found only renewed my interests. All those stories and legends suddenly hold water. After today, I'm going to have to change the way I look at all this.
Wow, she's truly indomitable. Her curiosity really is something else. Still interested in all this, through and through. How long is this part? We descend the stone stairs and all the people crowding the stream came into view. Near the bottom of the stairs, we could clearly see people receiving cotton that had been cut out for them, then wishing upon the cotton and setting it afloat down the stream. The festival was already over. Damn. I missed my chance to photograph the best part of Watanagashi.
Oh, but it's not too late. I'm going to go and set some afloat. Perhaps you could take pictures of me?
Takano-san, with an impish expression, brought her head to Tomitake-san's shoulder. Despite his age, he looked embarrassed. I felt an honest respect for Tomitake-san, man to man, for dating such a handful of a woman.
Goodbye, then. Mayabara-kun. Shion-chan. We're going down to the stream. Would you like to come with us?
No. I couldn't get in your way. Please, take your time.
Shion waved her hand to them with an expression just as impish as Takano-san's. Tomitake-san, on his part, seemed to want us to come, but whatever. Shion gave a big stretch and sat down on the stone steps.
I'm pretty worn out.
Same here. I'm exhausted, too.
Kei-chan, this is your first Watanagashi, isn't it? You go on, don't mind me. I'm tired, so I'd like to stay away from the crowd.
Yeah, if we were to go now, we'd barely slip into the end of the cotton drifting ceremony.
My sister and your other friends might be looking for you, too. Go on.
Oh, yeah, right. They've been by themselves ever since we got separated. I'd feel bad if they were looking for me. Then, Shion suddenly got a playful look on her face, then put her index finger to her lips as if telling me to keep this a secret.
My sister is the type that gets really jealous. If she knew I was hogging you this whole time, she'd never let me hear the end of it. So keep tonight a secret, okay?
Keep tonight a secret. Don't say things that are so embarrassing!
Not only because of that, either. Considering what we were doing tonight, we really need to keep it a secret. Oyashiro-sama's curse might happen tonight, and we four would be the prime candidates.
The loosening threads of tension became taut again. Shion, however, burst out laughing.
Alright, I'm going to get out of here before I run into my sister. I really am tired, so I don't have the endurance to put up with her anyway.
I can't tell if you get along with her or not.
We get along.
Though as she said that, her vague expression explained that there are a lot of oddities in a relationship between twins. I'd imagine. I'm an only child, so I don't really get it. Make sure you get along with her, okay?
Right. Thank you kindly for your meddling. Okay, I'm gonna go. You should hurry up if you want to make it, Kei-chan. Watanagashi really is about to end.
The chapter? Really? Shion stood up and brushed the dust off her backside. After watching her do so, I returned my eyes to the final ceremony of the Watanagashi festival below me.
Seriously, though, what was that sound anyway? It was kind of unpleasant and creepy.
Huh? What sound?
The sound. You know, the banging noise. It was really loud, wasn't it?
Excuse? There was not one of those? I was giving her a blank expression, so Shion stared hard at me. I stared hard at her, too. Sorry, Shion. Could you give me the short version? What was making noise?
Wait, Kei-chan, it didn't bother you?
When all's said and done, it was like we were speaking two different languages. Shion? Explain it to me, without jokes from the beginning, will you? What's this about a noise?
Kei-chan, you quit joking around too. Really, honestly, it didn't bother you?
Neither of us was giving any ground, and both of us were staring at the other in disbelief. We were answering questions with more questions, with no sign of an actual conversation in sight. Baffled, I held in the urge to shout at her and ask politely one more time. I'm going to ask one more time, okay? I'll ask the questions. Shion nodded silently. Okay, here goes. You said there was a sound. What are you talking about?
The banging sound. It was like a kid was jumping up and down on floorboards somewhere far away. It really didn't bother you?
There was nothing to be bothered by. When did you hear this? I never heard anything.
Wait, Kei-chan, are you serious?
Shion, as if she didn't understand my plain and simple answer, pressed me further, her expression serious. Tomatake mentioned a similar noise, I think. I have no clue what she's talking about, but if it has Shion acting like this, whatever it was, it gave me the creeps and sent a chill down my spine.
It was while we were looking around the inside of the ritual storehouse with Takano-san. About the time she started her stories, I think it was. Little by little. Louder and louder. Off and on.
She heard a banging sound, like a child jumping on distant floorboards? That can't be true. Don't start trying to scare me after all that. I didn't hear anything at all. In fact, it was so utterly silent in there that my own heartbeat was almost deafening. I think I know the reason.
Please don't try to scare me either, Kei-chan. It was like something was making noise in time of Takano-san's scary stories, and I was totally creeped out the whole time.
The chill rose from my spine to the back of my head. My blood turned cold as it crawled up my body. When it reached my head, my mind froze over.
You and Takano-san weren't paying any attention to it at all, so I pretended not to hear it either, but you heard it, right? It happened a bunch of times, and it was really loud.
Shion's eyes were begging me to tell her I heard it. I had no doubt, however, that my own eyes suggested something entirely different. A "you've gotta be kidding" look. In that storehouse, we were surrounded by brutal ritual tools that looked like they were from another planet, listening to terrifying old stories. The whole time, Shion had been hearing a sound that we couldn't hear, by herself. Should that make Shion, who heard it, tremble, or should it make me, who didn't hear it, tremble? I didn't know the answer to that at the time. For now, Shion seemed to have made that decision before I did. What are you laughing about?
I really got you, Kei-chan. I was fibbing the whole time.
What? She's not. Shion laughed, saying how easily scared I was, and clapped me on the back. Her smile seemed somehow artificial, and actually made me feel worse. Then after leaving me with 2 or 3 generic, diplomatic goodbye phrases, she left, almost like she was running away. All I could do was look after her, my mouth agape. At the end of the day, I didn't have a clue what was going on. Shion laughed it off and said she had been lying, but she couldn't possibly have been lying. Of course not. Now that I think back, Tomatake-san said the same thing, didn't he? I could clearly hear some noises, like someone jumping up and down. I was getting pretty nervous. Tomatake-san, the most neutral party present at the time, had said he'd heard something. Then that noise, it was real? No, the banging sounds. Sounds as though a child was jumping up and down on some kind of floorboards far away. Oishiro-sama's curse, which happens every year, might happen again tonight. The most plausible victim candidates were Takano-san, Tomatake-san, Shion, and me. That sounds familiar. I think I'm remembering, like, very small pieces of the anime. The bustling of the people sounded further away than I would have liked, and the sounds of the insects sounded too close for comfort. I'm near so much human warmth, and yet I can't ever go back there again. That was the ominous idea that sprouted in my mind. Then, all of a sudden, I was pounced on from behind, causing my heart to lurch.
Keiichi, we found you!
It was Rika-chan. When I turned around, Mion and Rena were there too.
We finally found you! Now we just need to find Satoko. Everyone got split up this year. We should make sure we have somewhere to meet up afterwards next year. Huh?
You're right. It's a festival, so we should all be together. I listened to Mion's happy declaration with a little bit of guilt.
Keiichi, did you root for me while I was dancing?
Aw, yeah! I saw it all! You did a great job all the way through. No mistakes either.
Yeah, that's right, Rika-chan. That didn't count as a mistake.
I tensed up as I realized I'd made a mistake of my own. Mion slapped a hand onto my shoulder a little roughly. A gross sweat broke out over my whole body. Did you do it too, Kei-chan? Did you get some cotton and send it down the stream? You haven't yet, right? That's what I could feel her saying. Without the courage to tell any more lies, I lifelessly shook my head.
Huh? You haven't, Keiichi-kun? You should go now or it'll be over. It'll be over!
Sorry. This is my first Watanagashi, so I don't really understand the rules and stuff. That's right. I'm sorry. Mion took my hand and we started walking down the stone steps. Hey, Kei-chan. What? Oh, did you say Shion? My heart skipped another beat. Maybe Mion could sense my surprise through my hand. No. Oh, well, I sort of think I saw her. You two look so alike, though, so it might have been you. You wouldn't have gotten that wrong. We're wearing different clothes. Huh? Oh, that's right. Mion's momentary silence was like a death grip upon me. I just can't do anything about that, Shion. Well, it's her we're talking about, so we can just leave her be. Mion's expression returned to her former, usual smile, and we continued down the stone steps, her firmly pulling my hand along. End. Holy fuck, this part was very good. And my voice is less dead than I would have expected from a 2-hour-long recording, but long. No! Well, the scrapbook notes aren't that long. Achievement unlocked, plumbing the depths. Alright. Let's read these tips then. From the scrapbook 4. So this is probably Takano's scrapbook, huh? Watanagashi. The rite of Watanagashi is performed during a village festival every June even now, but reading back to its origin turns up a seriously sanguine ceremony. Originally, Watanagashi would happen at certain intervals, and after receiving Oyashiro-sama's trust, they chose a sacrifice. Then, the entire village would kidnap, demon away, the person and ceremonially dissect and devour them in a feast. The rules that determine the intervals are shrouded in mystery. This is because the ceremonies occurred extremely irregularly. There's a theory that it was determined based on astrological fortune-telling, but it isn't too convincing. The residents of ancient Onikakushi village firmly believed that they were half men, half demon transcendents, and that they were more valuable than humans were, and they forced people within and without to accept that. Perhaps the act of kidnapping and eating people was done to prove that they were higher up on the food chain. This is just a hypothesis, but maybe the rite of Watanagashi was a political event for the purpose of being an outlet for, or outright diverting the attention of, the villagers of the isolated Onikakushi village. In any case, if their complaints or dissatisfactions grew serious. If that was the main reason these ceremonies were held, then it's easy to explain how erratic they were. Alright. 2 tips left. Hurry up. I want to finish. I'm hungry. Well, I'm only just starting to get hungry, but whatever. What is that? That's nothing. Okay. The alleged importance of the implements. I can't find anything that gives a concrete description on what the ritual implements were like. They were, however, real, and there definitely existed a multitude of different kinds. One source states that the implements used in the Watanagashi rite alone number 200. The obvious question then is why they required such a myriad of them. The rite of Watanagashi was to kidnap people through the demoning away, dissect them, and eat them. I believe the tools were for dissection and restraining, but 200 of them is far too many. Generally, tools evolve in such a way as to reach a solution for a certain problem. Once you've reached the ultimate goal, that is, attained a certain level of efficiency, the tool's evolution normally stops there. Regardless, why would they have created so many different kinds? One of the cultural elements responsible for diversification over time is that of entertainment. Tools used for entertainment would evolve over time and branch out. Unlike normal tools, reaching the ultimate goal would be more of a dead end, and in searching for the next goal, they would split into many different subtypes. So then, perhaps it's not a stretch to suggest that these 200 plus implements had some entertainment value. This is just a hypothesis, of course, but maybe the human dissection process was viewed as a type of entertainment. The 3 families of old would develop one new implement, dissection tool, and another, and each was varied, novel, and attracted spectators to keep them from growing bored. Okay, no, I understand that now. It's not unimaginable. All of them have to be enshrined within that storehouse. There isn't much longer until the night of Watanagashi.
Though its original intent has been lost, I will reveal the secrets of the traditional ceremonial night within the ritual storehouse. Yeah, it can't restrain my excitement. Watanagashi cannot come soon enough. Alright. I imagine starting next episode, shit's gonna get real. It's been a pretty slow burn up until, I guess, last episode more so. But, yeah. After the festival... Oh, cops? Oh, I didn't realize we were going here. Late that night, tensions in the police station were strained. In the silence, many of the staff members' eyes shifted back and forth between the clock and their telephones, counting the seconds in that stifled atmosphere. Kumagaya-kun burst in with a young guy trailing behind him. Oishi-san, I've got the autopsy results. The court physician just got here. I'm ready to go, sir. I'll head straight for the burned body's location. Oh, ha! Kuma-chan, things have gotten a bit complicated. They appear to be having a very difficult time determining who the victim is. Could they have been dismembered? Nope. Cooked to a nice light brown. He spoke in sportive tones, but the meaning behind his words was heavy. The staff gave a collective sigh. All the way? Head to toe? Completely blackened, it seems. Probably smells terrible, too. What a shame it is to be Gifu-san. Whatever that means. Cooked with no possessions, then discarded outside the prefecture. At worst, it would have taken a week for the body to be identified. The fact that they'd sniffed it out tonight was huge. Komiyama-kun and a few others are performing a thorough night raid on the dentist in Okinomiya. All we can do is hope a tooth matches some medical records. Sorry. Could someone go buy me 2 or so boxes of strong cigarettes? The young guy answered in affirmation and darted out into the hallway. We did an excellent job finding it this year. It could be that the people who disappeared in past years were scattered outside the prefecture like this too. Then why not bury them or sink them into the Sea of Japan or Lake Biwa or somewhere like that? Why, though? Hasn't the pattern so far been one person dies and another disappears? Kuma-chan, the corpse was inside an oil drum, unrestrained and cooked. They probably burned them after strangling them. They knew it would be found. So what you mean is, from the beginning, they didn't want a person to disappear this year? Not so much that as they just aren't related. The person didn't disappear. In fact, whoever did it seems to have wanted to make a show of it. You mean, it could be a warning? He folded his arms, and then heaved a long and heavy sigh. That might have been the case had it happened in town. If they'd messed up, taking the victim far away and burning them alive wouldn't have been noticed. If they meant it as a warning, they should have done it closer to Hinamizawa. They wanted to emphasize the fact that they killed the victim, but instead of doing it somewhere for dramatic effect, they did it outside the prefecture. Did they want to emphasize it or hide it? Boy, I do wonder what Oyashiro-sama is up to this year. Phone. A telephone ring cut through the heavy silence. A staff member nearby snatched up the receiver. Oishi-san, it's Komiyama! They have it! The dental clinic in Okinomiya fixed a wisdom tooth 3 years ago. What about the records? Complete with x-rays. Well, I feel bad for waking up the dentist before dawn. Kuma-chan, get out there as soon as you get the records from Komiyama-kun. Will do. Oh, it's the chief. Thank you for coming out at this hour. Oishi-san, my apologies for my lateness. What's the situation? Well, it's just getting good, you see. We're all getting fired up. Wow! Okay. So, if I remember correctly, the burned body is Takano. 3rd syllable. Alright. Let's go for another hour. Just kidding. Alright, that's going to be it for this long episode. If you liked it, then be sure to press the like button. And if you didn't like it, then fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!